right at the top of the hour, and I know that we'll probably have some people coming in bit by bit, and I want to honor your time and have us get going. So Sandra Mall, who is our wonderful program advisor here, will be assisting us on the webinar, and I've got some other people to introduce as well, so that we can have a very successful webinar. I'm Allison Hendren, CEO and founder of Coaching Out of the Box, and I am passionate about coaching. You can see all the words about me on the screen, but here's what I just want to say at the top of this. I love coaching. I'm passionate about coaching. I see the difference it makes, and just think about this. What if everyone had these skills? Just have that in your mind as we go through the demos, the coaching demos that we're going to have, real, unrehearsed, live, nobody knows what's going to happen. Just be thinking about that, and be thinking also about what if we had improved listening, improved communication, improved ability to give feedback, improvement in conflict resolution, improvement in team communication and team dynamics, and I could go on. Those were just some of the qualitative findings we presented to Harvard Medical School, McLean Hospital, and the Institute of Coaching a while back, based on entire organizations embracing coaching and creating a coaching culture. And yes, they were using us to do it. Of course, I'm going to say that. Anyway, you can see there's a little bit about me. I'd like to get going and start introducing the other people that are going to be contributing to our webinar. Merv Rogers is our Chief Coaching Officer at Coaching Out of the Box. He's a master certified coach, one of about maybe at the most 1,000 in the world. And as you can see, there's so much to hear about him. He oversees our trainer team, our coach facilitator team, and he will be one of our delightful coaches for today. I'd like to just have Sandra just move the screen, and Rosa Adinga is our other fabulous coach facilitator for today, who will be coaching. And Rosa is part of our coach facilitator team as a PCC coach, has all kinds of fabulous experience, as you can see on the slide, and we can't wait. We are thrilled to have Rosa here as well. And then Sandra, if you could just move it across. Sandra Mall, who is our program advisor, is here as well, and she is the one you go to if you have any questions. And as you can see, you can read that too. We also have two wonderful, wonderful people who have volunteered to be coached today in this webinar. And we do not know what they're going to be bringing to the table. And as you can see, I've mentioned the real and unrehearsed. You'll hopefully pick up coaching tips. You'll see what happens. You'll notice different styles. We'll be debriefing the coaching, and we will also have the chat area open, and as best we can, we'll respond if there's questions, and also you can feel free to make comments as well. We want this to be a jam-packed, hugely valuable experience for all of you. I know we have a fantastic mix of new coaches and very experienced coaches, as well as we've got two extraordinary people who have been willing to be coached today. And the first one, and hopefully we can see Ali on the video, is Ali Jackson. And Ali Jackson is coming to us from Scotland. And Ali is a grad of our Fast Track to ICF Credential program. We have no idea what Ali is going to talk about today, but he is going to be coached by Rosa. So Rosa, and so thanks again, Ali, for being willing to do this. And so Rosa and Ali, you've got 15 minutes. And then what will happen is Merv will be debriefing the coaching, and we'll be connecting to the coaching competencies. We'll be talking about what happened. And I want you all to also be noticing what you're seeing and hearing and and noticing as you observe this coaching happening. So without further ado, I'm going to let Rosa and Ali get started, and hopefully we can see them, and everybody else will stop our videos and let you two get going.
Okay. I'm just going to start, and hopefully the technology just miraculously, the wonderful Sandra. Actually, Sandra, if I can impose on you, is it possible for you to let us know when there's about 5 minutes left?
Certainly, I will do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Firstly, Ali, thank you. I was going to say good evening. I don't know what time it is there. I think it's evening. But thank you for putting up your hand. It's a very strange environment because you have a lot of eyes on you. You're being recorded. But my intention and hope is that we can just have a conversation between the two of us, one that kind of brings kind of a safe place for you to bring whatever. And, you know, while we've met previously in a course from Coaching Out of the Box, I have no idea. This is completely unscripted, just like life is. So because we don't have a lot of time, Ali, let's just jump in. What can we focus on in the next 15 minutes that will make the biggest impact to you in the here and now?
Well, morning, Rosa. You were right. It is evening here. late evening. I have spent the afternoon and I've written down, I've got 7 different things here for coaching. But I've kind of narrowed it down to one particular thing. As you know, in the last time we spoke, you know I've had surgery. Yeah. So I'm recovering from this surgery on my left shoulder. And I work in the fitness industry. So I'm a physical education instructor for the Scottish Prison Service. So my job is teaching fitness. So although I've written down things like I am trying to start my own business and that up outside coaching, what I'd like to focus on is getting my head straight about getting my own fitness back up to where it should be. Because of the injury that I had and the length of time it's taken for the surgery to come around, I must be a good 7 pounds overweight, don't feel as fit. Going back to my work in 4 weeks and want to be back to my level of fitness, which is, and you're going to laugh, it is, and everybody else on this program is going to laugh, it's Beachbody fitness.
Okay, in Scotland, I love it.
Yes, in Scotland. So it's where do I begin? I've kind of got my own thoughts, but where do I start and get my own fitness back?
And that's kind of what I hear in this short amount of time. You want to, because you've said, you know, I heard you saying, I want to get my head straight about what do I do? You know, it sounds as if you're saying, I have this short amount of time. You mentioned 4 weeks before you go back. What this injury, you know, and the recovery has done, it's kind of almost set you back. So you're saying, how do I move from where I am now back to where I was? Is that right? Am I hearing that right? Okay.
Yeah, in the 4 weeks, I won't get back to the fitness I was before the injury, but I would like to be nearly there.
Okay.
There's lots of things going on. Like there's a lot of clutter in my head as well. Like I said, I'm trying to start my own coaching business, and I'm doing my fitness work, but I'm still employed.
Right.
I still have a job.
Right.
To do. But if I can, it's where, how do I get my head into this fitness? I've got to be fit for going back to work. So I know I've got to make some kind of plan.
Okay.
Whether it be diet or the exercise schedule, where do I go first?
So if we talk about what we're talking, like our time together, I hear you saying, if I could have a plan or begin, you know, where to begin to get a plan, to kind of map out at least that first step. Let's just call the first 4 weeks that first step to get you back. Because I hear diet, you talk about these different elements of health, of, getting yourself back into physical space. Why is that so important to you to get back into, some sort of that physical, feeling physically better, stronger?
This will give you a laugh, because when you work in the prison service, especially if you work in the gym, you have to be fitter than every single prisoner that comes through that gym.
Okay.
So that's where the challenge is, because we just can't be beaten by a prisoner at anything.
Right.
So, and that sounds quite intense,
No.
but that's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is. So it's interesting because I hear almost two things. One is this, because of your commitment to your own physical strength and building, you want to move and heal yourself from the injury and the recovery. At the same time, as you talk about going back, there's this desire to make sure you're safe. Like I'll say it that way. Which one, is there one that's more important, or which one is more important to you right now, if you look at right now?
To be honest, the safety is not so much of a problem.
All right.
It's not so much of a problem. The fitness level is.
Okay.
I do a lot of mountain biking. I need to make time to get back out and get back on my bike and get my cardiovascular fitness up. And if I was being honest, being in the industry, I know that's going to help with my weight, because my diet's not horrendous. I'm quite a good eater. So the weight should come down, but it's getting that focus back, because I was so strict before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like probably everybody that's into sports, you get this tunnel vision,
right,
when the sport kind of takes over. So mine's of the last few years has been the mountain biking. So I suppose that's where I need to make a start, the getting back on my bike.
So tell me, how does it feel to be on that bike? Because you've described it, in kind of a webinar that we were in previously. Describe to me, it sounds as if you haven't been on the bike for a while because you've been recovering. So talk to me about what you feel like when you're on that bike.
The bike's amazing. When I'm on the bike, I'm one of these guys that will come flying past you and do the jumps, jump through the air, land, sometimes fall off. That's just part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just such a, let's say the word, it's such a buzz. When you get the nice scenic climbing up to the top of a mountain,
mm-hmm.
and then you get the fantastic thrill of the speed,
mm-hmm.
the danger coming down. It's just unbelievable. Everybody should do it.
Mm.
Everybody should have a mountain bike.
Okay. I'll trust you on that one. I'm a bit afraid of them, but you know what? I'm going to hear your voice in my head if I get on a mountain bike. What I'm curious about is you light up when you talk about biking, and you talked about how that may be that entrance way for you to get back into the physicality, to kind of, when you talked about wanting to get a plan, you light up when you talk about your bike. You light up when you talk about the experience of it. So now, I'm going to go back and shift. You were talking about making time, and there's all these other stuff that's going on for you, and having to create that focus. Something's stopping you from focusing or going forward on that. So I'm curious, if there's such a passion and euphoria, what's stopping you now?
Do you know what the actual thing that's stopping me at the minute is? While I'm off my work, I've been concentrating on and trying to promote my business.
Okay.
So it's maybe time that I spend less time on that at the minute and more time on my own health. That's probably the way to go.
Okay.
Take a wee sidestep from that and concentrate on the health. So when I'm sitting, because I would be sitting on the sofa, going through social media, looking at web pages and stuff. So I believe it or not, I've got an area where I can go and mountain bike, and it's a very technical area, and it's only 5 minutes from my house.
Okay.
So I'm having a wee moment here. Yep. I think what I'll do is put the business aspect on the back burner at the minute until I'm fully fit.
Okay.
Get out on my bike, and I think I will plan to get out on my bike on Friday morning.
Okay.
Spend some time on the bike and see how I get on with that.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Sandra. So you talk about kind of starting. So you know what? Hey, you got the beginning. It sounds as if you have this beginning of a plan. How will you, when you're in that wonderful space of kind of getting back on the bike, if you think about it that way, getting back into it, balance that, again, you're recovering with this physicality? Because I hear you almost, let's try it out and test it. Let's test what my body can do, and then go forward. But I'm wondering, how do you balance those two?
Well, to be honest, planning on Friday.
Okay.
Friday's only 4 weeks from my surgery,
Okay.
but it's been such a quick recovery. I can go and do the mountain biking and not go too far.
Okay.
Not go and do anything dangerous, not do the jumps and stuff, but just do some light trails and see where my fitness is at.
Okay.
And do you know why that's just come to me? Because I read a quote which my wife put up the other day, and it was something to do with health and wealth. So that's where the health bits come first. So I must do the health thing first, and forget about the wealth for the time being.
And I'll challenge you, because you say you're going to start on Friday. You're going to see how your body feels, and then again take that mindset of how you work with those fitness clients. And I'm going to challenge you when you're talking about the health and the wealth. How does one, your health, contribute to the other? So you talk about putting your business necessarily on pause or back burner. I'm curious, as you go forward, how getting yourself fit, clearing your mind, being on that bike, will impact your planning, scheming of that business, please. You scheming in a very positive way, Ali.
To be honest, when I'm fully fit, I always feel, this might sound strange, but this is my words for it. I always feel as if my head's clearer.
Okay.
And when you're fit, you think and process things better. Does that sound strange?
Not at all.
So there's another wee moment. If I can get my fitness back, then I might have new ideas about the business.
Okay.
So definitely a way forward for me. Start working on this fitness. So I can see a connection there.
Okay.
So the wealth might come with the
health.
The health.
With the health. So Ali, I know that our time is running out. That was quick, wasn't it? I'm wondering, what is one thing you're taking away? I heard you, okay, Friday, you got a deadline. Let's do something, let's do some action. And you talked at the beginning about having a plan in the next, again, for the chunk of the 4 weeks. What are you taking away from our conversation today, and what are you going to do with it?
I'm definitely taking away that my health is more important and my fitness is more important. So as soon as we're off this call, I'm going to write down a little plan and in my diary some reminders that I will be going on that bike on Friday morning. And I know when I start, I will not stop. That will just roll on, because that will give me the buzz to keep going.
Wonderful.
And then it should fall in place.
And then that's the sky's the limit or the trail is the limit. I'm not sure how that would work in the metaphor of a bike.
They sound good. They sound good.
So Ali, as we wrap up, I just want to both wish you luck in the physical fitness and the recovery, and that whole health wealth interesting dynamic that you'll kind of see going forward, which is cool. I think we're at time. This is that weird place where I'm like, do I dance? Hey, everybody.
No, I get to dance.
Do I do a hooray dance for Ali?
Yeah.
Very much. I've got a plan. It's fantastic.
Congratulations, the two of you. Thank you for having that most intimate moment. This is great. So, hello, folks. I'm Murph. That doesn't matter. What's most important is to hear from Ali. Ali, what was this like for you? I mean, you obviously knew Rosa from before, but tell me more about your experience in the last 15 minutes.
Well, to be honest, Mel, from the 7 things I've written down that I want to be coached on, my fitness is probably the most important thing to me, and I now have a plan, and I will get started on Friday. I know that now. I will start on Friday, because I keep putting things off because I focus on business. But now, no, I'm going out on my bike.
Cool.
That's awesome.
That's good, and congratulations on that. And so, more specifically to the coaching itself, what do you think that Rosa did that really worked for you personally?
It's a lot of challenging questions, but she gave me a lot of time to talk and think for myself. So I was actually thinking about what my plan would be. So I don't think Rosa never gave me any direction at all, really. She brought the direction out of me.
Yes.
And she left the silence there for me to think about it, which was really good. Because there was a couple of things came to mind, like the quote my wife had mentioned, and then the asking me the deeper questions about why do I need to be so fit at my work and stuff. So yes, she challenged me into why do I need to be this fit. So, and gave me the space and time to answer that.
Excellent. Good. Thanks. I mean, cut off. Any other thoughts?
Not really, apart from the fact that I can 110% tell you I'll be out on my bike on Friday.
I believe that there are 75 people on this call that will believe you. We're convinced. And all 75 of us will be on the sidelines cheering you on.
Agreed.
Well, I'll even take the video. I'll take the video and I'll show you.
All right, deal. Let's do that. Thank you very much, Ali, for your time and your expertise and your vulnerability. And Rosa, let's pick on you. It's difficult, obviously, with all eyes looking at you. But you are an experienced coach, no question. And so when did you know this was going really well for you?
Wow. There was, I think, a moment at, I was going to say at the beginning, it's a very short conversation where I realized my role, or I knew my role, and it was easy to set that role, was just to kind of create that space for Ali to go. That, he was talking about certain things, and I could sort of see them coming together in this space, and it was almost like just kind of step back and let Ali go. And again, that coaching place of trusting the other person. And it was that those moments where I was just like, I think he's getting okay, he's going. And always for me, it's the conversation goes well when the other person's getting what they need and getting it from their own. And it's almost like going through a box, and he's like, okay, cool, awesome. And he had a plan, and he looked, it was always that for me, it's a kind of you know, you see someone's the nuances, the nonverbals. He almost looks settled in it. It was just like his body kind of settled into this. Now I've got a plan. Friday circled on my calendar, and it was I took the control. He took the controls back, and I just got to witness it. So for me, it was that brilliant place of sitting back and witnessing someone just, you know, creating that space, asking those questions, opening it up, but watching someone get those insights. And Ali, this was awesome. I thank you for that. Still unsure that I'll get on a mountain bike, but I trust it.
Good.
Trust it's great.
Thanks, Rosa. And as many people pointed out, and there was lots of really good feedback to you in terms of group chat, is that you didn't step into the fixed spot, right? You stayed as the guide by the side. You didn't step into trying to repair the situation or give them guidance. And I think, to me, that's brilliant coaching.
Thank you.
When you can really stay at the point where the client is and not to get too far ahead of them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So some highlight, not necessarily feedback to you because you're an excellent coach, but it's more of a, let's point out what we experienced as a group. One of the first things in coaching, as you know, is establishing that rapport, establishing the contract, setting that coaching presence. And you would have seen Rosa do that very initially, when she sort of spoke of the relationship they had and the situations they're in where all eyes were watching. Her opening question after kind of the setup was very powerful, I felt. And it was powerful because it was very simple and it was very open. And to me, those are the most powerful questions, and you saw that happen many times through Rosa. She would, again, give some context to the question. As coaches, we don't want to do too much of that, but what Rosa did really well is, on top of that, then focused on the very specific question that she wanted to ask afterwards. And so that's great. So again, it sets a nice present. It says that she's listening. Powerful coach, just as Rosa did, you heard, uses the coach's language and parroting back and repeating back and getting clarification of the goal or the outcome or the statement. And she, of course, used that language exceptionally well. And also the Columbo technique, you know, you said A and you said B, but which one do you really want? And that you know, set them up for decision is really powerful. And she did it very subtly. She didn't do it forcefully or challenging necessarily. It was in conversational kind of dance. Coaches like to create awareness. We all think it's really cool to get the ahas. There were at least two major ahas that the group chat picked out. But she did that with you know, kinds of the what questions, right? And those are powerful questions. The ability to have the individual explore what they're experiencing. You heard that with, you know, what's it like to be on the bike? You heard that there. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a what question that got them into the coach's framework. It was a what question that was getting Ali into his framework around the bike. What's it like to be there? Bring me into that situation. Rosa has a lovely sense of curiosity, although she was challenging several times, which was excellent. She still remained very curious. And to me, that's a wonderful place to coach from, because there is no right and there is, frankly, no wrong. It's all about, so tell us more, you know, what's going on for you. Do you notice she uses one powerful word, and the word is okay. And it's the way she says okay. Because I can say, yeah, okay. Or I can say, okay. And so just from her use of, after Ali making a particular revelation or statement, by her saying okay, she totally, I'm gapping with the word, but compliments and accepts the coachee for where they are. There's no judgment in that. If Ali said, I'm going to jump off a cliff, you know, Rosa said, okay, I believe you have the power to do that, you know, and probably knowing Ali, he'd do that. But sorry, I stepped out there, but it's that subtlety of really accepting them for where they are and where they are, you know, who they are and where they are in the moment, allows the individual to step beyond that. And that's what you saw happen when Rosa kept on doing the okays. You'll notice just in some technique in the chat, room talked about it as well, is she had a lot of what questions, powerful, powerful questions. We know the sin of the why questions. Asking why is a wonderful way to get to root cause if you're an engineer, but it's a wonderful way to dead end the coaching conversation if you're a coach. And so the what questions are powerful. And then she strategically transferred to the how question. So now that we got the what, let's get to the how. And so that really allowed them to get not only strategic with the what questions, but very tactical with, so how are you now going to do that? How does that look? And I thought that was a really nice transition from a powerful questions perspective. And she challenged him, and the challenge worked. It got the aha number 2. And so that was really very useful in terms of just being a little more curious. Tell me more about that. Tell me why. I forget the exact language you used. So, yeah, so Rosa, thank you. And Ali, thank you for being the guinea pig. But again, what we're looking at is a coaching conversation that could have gone a million different ways, and every one of us could have done it in a different style or different set of questions. So it's not about the questions, it's about the rapport and achieving the outcomes. Rosa was very good at not just taking the first thing that Ali said in terms of what he wanted to achieve in the conversation. She continued to drill down until he got clarity around what it is he really wanted. And she uses humor really, really well, and connection. And so it's very humanistic from that perspective. And again, to your credit, and maybe it's because, you know, you're not an off-road biker, but you didn't get into telling them how to do it. You didn't even get into the, well, what if you did this? What if you pumped up your tires a little stronger? You know, you didn't get sucked into the problem. You stayed with the context, and that is powerful coaching. So thank you, Rosa, for your time, and Ali for your moments. Allison, back to you.
Well, all right, and powerful, very, very powerful. And Ali, thank you so much for being willing to jump in today with this, to be the coachee today. Thank you. We really, really appreciate it. And now, and Rosa, of course, we've already heard your fabulous coaching. And now we're going to switch over, and I'm delighted to have Melody Yong. Melody, if you want to take off the, turn on your video. There you are, and unmute yourself. That would be terrific, so that we can actually hear your voice. Great. And Melody is our other very, very wonderful coachee who's offered to be coached today. And so thank you so much, Melody. And Merv is going to be your coach. And Rosa will be doing the debrief. So we're just going to barrel in, and Sandra, you're going to give the 5 minutes. And so I'm going to be quiet and let you get started.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Allison. And Melody, good to meet you. Now, you and I have not met before, and I feel like I'm on the stage like a magician, you know, like we don't know each other, call you from the audience kind of thing. So,
and maybe blind dating. It's a blind date. Blind coach
date, exactly. So I love this, and so I hope you don't mind sharing your blind date with 77 other people. But that being said, my hope, my desire for you is that you get what you want out of this conversation. In a moment, we'll talk about what that is. But there also might be a moment in time where our conversation jogs a memory, a thought that maybe you don't want to share with the 77 people that you don't really know that well. So I'm going to encourage you to write those thoughts down. You don't necessarily need to articulate them all. We just need to dance a little bit for the next 15 minutes, you and I, so we're good. But I do want to make sure that you personally go as deep as you want to go, and you can do that even privately after our conversation. So,
okay.
So that's kind of where I start. Now, do you have an issue that you wish to talk about?
I have many.
Okay, good. All right. So one of the things we need to do is kind of sort through which of the many. Let's say we just sorted through which one of these things that you want to get some assistance with. What do you want to make sure you get out of our conversation in the next 15 minutes?
Well, I did take some time just to think about something that would be bite-sized. And for me, I think really trying to figure out how I stay focused. What I mean by that is I love doing things. I've got a lot of energy. I start things. And I find that, well, I think I could be maybe more, I don't know what the word is, effective, or maybe just feel better if I was more focused in how I maybe manage my time.
Why on earth would you want to be more effective? What is in it for you to be more effective?
Well, I think 'cause there's so many things I want to do, and I feel, and maybe it's, you know, going through more coaching kinds of things. I've been doing more self-reflection and thinking about, I think there's a better way to be, because I want to be in a different place with how I spend my time. And I think being focused on whether it's the tasks, I think I'm seeing it more maybe at work, because there's so many different projects that I'm excited about, and I'll start something and then I'll go to something else and then I go back to that. And so I just wonder, I guess I'm curious to see if there's a better way.
So at the end of our chat, would you like to have a better skill at being focused? Or would you like to be more efficient, more effective? Would you like to feel better? Which ones of those would be most important?
I think maybe more just exploring of sort of my thinking, sort of going deeper into why do I actually feel like I want to be more focused? Because I don't think it's necessarily about that, how do I manage, like how do I functionally, the action of, okay, get focused. But I think for me, I need to understand the why. Otherwise, it doesn't matter about the action, because it's not going to be ingrained. It's not going to be sort of in my head.
So being focused makes a lot of sense when you got lots to do and so forth. And you're probably pretty good at being focused when you've got a very specific task ahead of you. Is that true?
Absolutely. If I have a deadline, I'm focused. Absolutely.
Okay. And so what is it about having a deadline that works for you?
Well, because I know it has to be done.
Okay.
So if I know it has to be done, and let's say it's somebody, it's often easier for me to do something if someone's asked of me. If it's my boss, of course I'm going to get it done. Like that's like non-negotiable. So it's probably more things if I don't have a specific deadline.
Okay.
And so maybe part of it is about how I met. So maybe part of it does end up being how I manage my time.
Right. But what you know to be true is what works well for you now is that if you know it has to be done, there's a sense of urgency and some set of completion objective. Yes.
Yep.
And you are asked by some foreign higher power, and these are not negotiable. That allows you to stay focused. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So how could you do those three things with the rest of your life? I mean, how could you use that?
Well, I've tried to, let's say, you know, I'll put deadlines for myself for different things in my calendar. But it almost seems like if there's nothing else riding on it, there's no, I guess, consequence. It's very easy for me to procrastinate until it's like the end. I have to do it, because then it's triggering something else. If it's just me, it's kind of like, oh, if I do it today, if I do it tomorrow, it doesn't matter. It's just, it'll get done at some point. I never think I'm not going to get something done, because I know I'll get it done. But I think that if I was able to not just do it when I think it's, I guess, there, then it makes room for other things. And it's less weighing on my head, because I'll still think I need to do that. That still needs to be done. And then once I do it, I think, why did I wait so long to do this? So easy.
What would it take for you to give your voice, your request, your desires the same weight that you give a request from one of your bosses?
Well, it would take a lot of shifting of my brain.
Well, what would be one of those shifts then that would have to occur?
Because it's just so easy to think, like, I don't think of it as like me. I guess I just think, well, it's about everybody else. Like, I'll do everything else if it's somebody else's request. And for me, it's, I think, well, you know, that'll happen.
Okay. Now, are you ready to get rid of that belief?
yeah, I'm like, my brain's kind of spinning to think about, okay, how does that show up when I'm putting a request on myself
Right.
versus other people?
Where do you think you learned that?
Oh, it's from me. It's like it's my own self-talk, right? I think,
Okay.
I'm so programmed to, okay, my colleagues, my boss, family, like it's all about other people's requests. And so it's easier to compartmentalize those tangible tasks of, I have to get the kids to this, I have this project due. So that's super easy to be like, yeah, I got to do that. And so then the stuff for me, and even if it's a project that I'm doing for work, but if, let's say my director hasn't given me a fast, hard deadline, even that it's for work, but I still will end up kind of spinning and letting it go until I really have to do it.
So there's something missing then. We just had a bit of a formula for focus. You said, okay, I know it has to get done, sense of urgency. I get asked by a higher power,
Yeah.
and the thing itself, the outcome is non-negotiable. What's the piece, and I know we don't know this, but let's invent together. What would be a fourth component of that formula that would really allow you to stay focused?
Oh God. Remind me, what are the first three of you said?
Yeah. So let me go through the list again.
Okay.
And again, let's kind of explore this together. But one of the things you said I stay focused when I'm working on a project because somebody bigger than I am, my boss in this case, asked me to do it.
Yeah.
I know it has to get done, or there's a deadline involved.
Yeah.
And the thing to be done is not negotiable.
Right.
But my sense is you're the one doing some unhooking here. You're the one that's kind of getting in your own way. And I know you know that. That's not a surprise to you. But I'm wondering if that fourth component has something to do around listening to yourself, perhaps, a little more discipline, perhaps, or maybe an entirely different focus. I don't know which.
Well, I kind of wonder, like, when you said the word discipline, it did make me think about, because it's just often it is that self-talk to think, well, if I was more disciplined, or if I had more structure, then I could do X, Y, and Z. And so then it's kind of like that negative self-talk is, well, why didn't I do that? So it's like, one example might be, doing these, I'm a runner, and so doing these exercises to strengthen my IT band. And so I know that I need to do these exercises, but then I don't do them. Like I know, and my background, I'm a dietitian, so behavior change is what I've talked about in the past. But it's just so interesting because I know that it's not just about knowing the action. So it's like, great, okay, so go do that then. But then it's not so easy.
Let me shift a little bit. So thank you for this, because you said that you've got these voices in the head that are very powerful, and you said that that this repetition. Who are you being when you're really focused? Who's the melody? What's she like? Who are you being when you're really focused?
Well, I feel very, I feel in control. I feel I'm directing what the path is, and I feel like it's confident. And yeah, I feel like, like anything's possible. Like I've got it.
Okay. Is that a feeling state that you could recreate right now as we're talking? Could you get yourself into that feeling state of, I'm in charge, I'm here, this is right? Just as you and I are talking.
Yeah.
And when you're there, just let me know. Just tell me, nod your head a few times and say, okay, I'm there.
I'm there.
You're in the power zone. Good. So now I want you to just review all the stuff you have in your life, your world, all this sort of stuff. When you're coming from that powerful place, what's the most important thing for you to say do next?
What's the most important thing to
do next? So
well, I just
yep. Go ahead.
I just be like, I've got this. Like the things that I think weigh on me, I think seem a bit trivial when I'm in that zone of, because I think when I feel that way, like I think about, I did this trail run, and I just remember the whole time I was running in this race, I just like, I've got this. And I'm like, I am powerful. I can do this. And so I guess it shouldn't matter I guess the magnitude of like, that was a race. So I think that's a big event. Whereas I see other things like the small things, I think, well, that's not as important. And so I don't put this power of like, yeah, I feel confident. I don't think of it. I compartmentalize it into these are the small things that really, whatever, they're not that important. But yeah, those are the things that I think I'm obviously talking about, because I want to be in a different place. I want to be more focused no matter what area of whatever I'm working on.
So what if I asked you to invent a new voice? And here's what the voice would say. The voice that says, oh, I can do this tomorrow. The voice that says, oh, this is not important. Or the voice that says, I got to do this because somebody else wants it. I'm not that important. Those voices?
Yeah, I know them all.
We love those voices. We just want to say thank you to those voices. But what if we made a brand new voice? And that brand new voice comes from a perspective of, I got this, or I can do this, or I'm powerful. Remember, it's the same voice that you were saying when you were doing this. So let's first, would you be open to inserting a new voice in your head?
Yeah, definitely.
And if you did insert this new voice in your head, let's give it a name. What would we call him or her?
Oh God.
You can call it God. That'd be fine. But it might be that name's taken. But what else? What would be a name for this voice?
I have to think about that. But I can see how having a name would definitely make it more real. So let me think about that.
Okay. So we've got about another 3 minutes or so. So I won't square you into the corner on thinking about a name. But you said you could see if it had a name, why that would be helpful. Tell me why. Why would that?
I think because then it's not just this bunch of talk of, okay, get into that zone, but then it's like that and I do well with metaphors and visualization of then as soon as I think of that name, I have this vision, and then I can think about the feeling I have when I'm running that race, and I feel like, yeah, there's nothing else getting in my way. I'm like doing this race. And so thinking of it in the same magnitude, even though it's something small.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what if I asked you to shift your original perspective? Your original perspective says I need to stay focused, and in fact, you're very good at being focused. Right?
Yes.
How would you reframe what your need is now?
Well, I think it's just having a different mindset, and so it's taking the small things and thinking about, like, well, one, the voices of because I'm directing my actions.
Yeah. And
thinking about, well, if I want it to be different, I have to go into it thinking differently. And it's not just, whatever the exercises, it doesn't matter about doing that. Or if it's at work, kind of doing it later.
Right.
So I think it'll take more than just shifting the mindset, because I think I need more, but obviously only 15 minutes. But I think the first step would definitely be just compartmentalizing it in a different way than how I have been.
Okay. So a different mindset is kind of a nice focus. You have some to-dos. Here's an observation, and then I'll just let you sit with this before my closing question. But my observation is, when we're going into that, visualizing, we're moving from the doing of stuff into the being of stuff, right? You've probably heard that a million times. And so it's really, how does Melody be her strongest self in every moment possible, so that all the to-dos can get done, right? And perhaps along with that mindset, that voice in the head that you're going to name, it's the realization that the more I bring the best me to these things, the things will all magically go away. What do you think of that?
Pretty powerful, pretty cool, because I definitely haven't thought about, in every situation, how to show up as the best me. I think I just kind of morph. So I wonder if when I morph into then putting other people first, then I'm not my best self, which is then probably me feeling that kind of conflict, or that place of, God, I want to be something different. Like I want to be more focused.
I think you just want to be more you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one last question. Love to put yourself in your powerful zone, putting yourself into the zone, the I got this and I'm powerful. And what are you going to take away from our call today?
Well, I'm going to come up with a really cool, snazzy name for my, powerful self, and I will tell you what it is, Merv.
Thank you.
Because I think that'll be helpful. Maybe I'll come up with a picture and put it on my computer or something. And just really, I think that how does Melody be her strongest self, I think, is a really cool thing of, my mantra for a little while of how I'm showing up. And just assessing, like, just because I'm not doing that exercise, am I being my strongest self? And using that as a way to, I guess, negate the self-talk, because it's going to be a bit of that retraining of the brain to think in a lot of these different situations of, oh yeah, how do I usually show up? And how could I be showing up?
Good. Excellent. Well, listen, thank you. Thank you for the awareness you have. And for the opportunity to share that with me and 69 other people now. But I appreciate the time, and I wish you great success. And I do want to hear that name, so please do.
Sounds good. I will definitely do that. Thanks, Merv. That was great. Yeah.
I'll go back to you, Rosa. Thank you.
Well, wow. Here, I'll see if I can start my video. You know what? I don't even need the video. All I need is to talk. First of all, thank you. Melody, I want to start my thank yous with you. It always takes a bit of courage to sit in a conversation, a coaching conversation, where you don't know, there you are, where you don't know where it potentially will go, and you did it. And you came in and you did it for our benefit, and you did it in front of all these people, and you, so thank you for that. So I will start asking you a few more questions. You're not questioned out. And then I will kind of go into doing the same for Merv and kind of just give some observations. But most importantly, Melody, I'm curious, how did that go for you?
It was good, because I definitely hadn't gone there. And I think it was associating, when I did feel like I could definitely, I noticed the coaching techniques as I was being asked the questions. Like, oh, that really works. It's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when you're experiencing yourself, it's completely different. And so I think Marv was great, because as you can tell, I can be a bit of a rambler. And so he was really good at focusing me right away. Is like, there's all these things you've just said. So like, what really is it? And so to hear it back really helped me clarify. Actually, no, I don't really want to know how to get focused. It's not necessarily about that, but yet at the beginning, that's what I thought I was, wanting.
Right.
So there was the power in that, and Merv had a great way of just kind of presenting things and just being light. That worked really well for me, and just the whole thing of that different mindset. Because as soon as I started, and I can think of it the same with Ali, as soon as I was in that place of like, where do you feel powerful? I was like, oh my God. And I could just see myself like running through the trails and like, I've got this. And it's like, well, why would it be different than in other things? Like, why can't I apply that? So that was pretty cool.
And I love the fact that, the powerful question that just came up is yours, not Merv's. Well, we'll go into the powerful questions that he did. What's interesting, and even as you were talking, is this, you would recognize, sometimes the coaching techniques, and you're kind of going through, and you would see yourself doing that and ask yourself those questions. And, kind of the chat also talked about that reflection time between. Some of that work's likely going to happen for you after this call.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. You mentioned a little bit about what Merv did that was powerful for you. Can you go into that a little bit? What was it that he was doing that allowed you to kind of, go in and break it down and get into that power space where you could start going?
Well, I think he kind of took things that I said and just presented in a different way that just kind of just pushed me a little bit more, which I think is such an important part of being a coach. Is I wouldn't have got there by myself. There's no way of all this talking, but just completely shifting it to be like, well, what about this? Like, what's possible? And then even like calling it a name to whatever this, thing is going to be. And then just really kind of exploring. So I think that was good, and it just gave me some time to reflect, because I had to think with some of the questions, which is obviously like, that's like gold. Where have you got the gold? Because I couldn't answer the questions right away. I had to really like, oh, I don't know about that. So yeah, that was good.
Awesome. Anything else?
There's lots of things. I see I have like there's like 24 like messages in the chat, so I'd love to see what other people's feedback were. But no, it was good. It just got to me to a place I hadn't been before, and just really opened up my thinking because I was so focused before, and just like, well, I just need to get more focused. Like just what do I need to do? And I recognize I need to just figure out how to get there in a different way. So.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. And again, it was an example of you guys were having a conversation for 15 minutes. And it was just the powerful conversation that happened that moved you, again, with that courage place of talking about how do I focus, how do I manage my time, to something bigger. So thank you for that. Merv, I'm gonna shift it to you. First of all, again, thank you, Merv. It is a very interesting place to be when you have all these eyes on you, and you have this wonderful, I'll go into that even in the feedback, but you have this wonderful grounded space where you just, kind of ground yourself in this coach place where I think your neurons are just wired differently because of all the conversations you've had. I'm curious about your conversation with Melody. What are you taking away from it, about taking away from that 15 minutes?
I'm taking away, what am I taking away? So I'm taking away two things. One is, so I'll just for the sake of time, maybe I'll answer another question you may have in the future, but I think one of my focus was obviously to take her strength and use it against her, so to speak, or use it to her advantage. And look for other shifts. And so I think that occurred. My takeaway was I did choose to continue to volley questions at her. I didn't choose to give her space or silence. And that worked for the first little bit to keep her mind busy and occupied and focused, so it didn't get distracted. But I wonder if at the end I could have paced it a little bit more and given her more breathing room. So that's a takeaway. I'll kind of observe myself and say, well, maybe I needed to give her more silence at the end.
Excellent. Thanks, Merv. Just a couple I'll focus. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll focus on some of the comments and just some of the things that, I observed, whether it was, you gave permission at the beginning for that safe space to occur for her to take things that maybe she didn't want to delve into offline, and created that let's go as comfortable as possible. With that humor, creating that rapport, but those powerful questions, whether it was, I had to write them down, what would it take to give your voice the same weight as someone else? Who are you being when you're really focused? Took her there so that she's in that power place, brought her strengths up, like brought her into that powerful, feeling very powerful. And at that point, a lot of let's talk about some of those narratives that aren't serving you anymore. You were able to ask the questions and bring, I think someone had mentioned, is he leading? Was interesting as you were talking about those three things. Is there a fourth? Let's invent together. You actually took her words from the beginning, and when you were giving options of could it be this, could it be that, those were all Melody's words. Those weren't yours, which I thought was a very powerful way of, listening. You have to listen for those, bring them forward, and allow her the space to kind of delve into the core of, what is it, who are you being, and it's that wonderful place of giving the other person the space, but focusing on their strengths, making them feel powerful. So then you saw how Melody uncovered some of those spaces and said, I'm going to think about that question, or, hey, this is what I can do from now on, getting to that action place, which is part of that conversation. I don't know. I think I have made a bunch of notes. One of the wonderful things about a webinar like this is observing other styles. So I got to take some questions away, writing them down. And I know we're probably time. I hope I didn't miss anything
No,
in terms of observation.
I thank you for your feedback. And I know we're at the top of the hour,
Yeah.
so I need to kick it back to Allison. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Hello, and thank you so much, Melody, for doing this, being willing to do this, and Merv and Rosa. All right, we've run out of time. I just want to know if you want to grow as a coach, develop as a coach, we are here. We'll be following up with an email to everybody, and we'll have the recording, and it will also be located in our coaching resources area of our website. What if everyone had coaching skills? Have a great rest of your week. Bye, and thank you all.